Dear cinder blocks. We've got some decorative blocks too.
Yeah, put him on a nice block so that he's level.
Oh, I think there's a piece of granite.
On top of the block.
Piece of granite.
Put that on top of the block and make him sit.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And that's nice. He'll be looking into the classroom.
It's very nice.
Beautiful. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Now Bharyaha, because Uchuhu. So Amatyaha Bharyaha Va. So Adi Shankara is saying either his servants or his wives. A very unhappy sentence to put the wives and the servants together and not even to be sure of which is which.
Yes.
But Yama's one wife here, Yami, and only because I think anybody would be afraid to get married. And by some accounts, Yami is not the wife, Yami is his sister, and he is a bachelor because no one will give his daughter to this fellow. So Yami is the sister, but here in many accounts Yami is presented as the wife. They had matching names, Yama, Yami. Yeah. And then, so she who was alarmed and whose blood pressure was keeping on going up, when she saw this fellow sitting outside night after night, day in and day out, he's sitting there and he is just not eating, not doing anything. And she was afraid because they lived in a gated community and the lawn had to be this tall and everything. She was afraid that the HOA will come and complain that there is a vagrant in your front yard. No, that is not the reason why she was afraid. Why was she afraid? She's going to say a mouthful about it in the next 2 mantras. She was afraid because of the what is it called? The consequences of neglecting an atithi. What is an atithi? Tithihi na vidyate yasya saha. A drop-in surprise. Yes. A surprise drop-in who you were not expecting. These days you expect everybody because everyone, syncs their calendars and whatnot and does this. These days you have to expect, otherwise who will be at home? No one. But this atithi satkara means doing good to the atithi, is very much a part of the culture because atithi means that which drops in without an appointment. Yeah. That which drops in without an appointment is something is seen as something fortunate because it's surprise. It's full of surprises. Life is full of surprises. And the way I greet this person who has dropped without an appointment matures me emotionally to greet all, pleasant and unpleasant surprises in my life. So I greet the atithi. And in fact, our worship is also like greeting the guest. The steps involved in the Hindu worship and the way the atithi, I can't call guest, but from the point of the American view, a pest, because somebody who drops in without whatever. We don't consider pest. We say an honored visitor. An honored visitor. And how you greet an honored visitor, this is how the protocol is followed, even in the worship. The same protocol. Because Bhagavan is an honored visitor who is going to drop in on your life today upon being invoked by you and then do good things. So too, atithi comes, and atithi comes means that this is a part of one's nitya karma. What is nitya karma? Things to be done daily, not every other day, daily. And so there are 5 yajnas. Yajnas means giving. 5 forms of giving are practiced. So you put some food out for the crows and 4-footed bipeds tripods, everything. You put the food out, quadrupeds, and then, not after you eat, before. Yeah. And then first you start, and if you may forget that, so first you start with rangoli, which is rice powder, organic in Eugene, and then you make some designs, and then as a result you have very healthy fat ants, and which are eating this, and this is also a form of pest control, organic, because they don't come in the house because they have enough to eat outside. So like this is all called bhuta yajna, deva yajna, worship, pitru yajna, offering tarpanam to the ancestors, rishi yajna, to the gurus, and then finally what? Atithi yajna. So atithi is part of this fivefold yajna. So you have to honor certain things, and your discharge certain responsibilities, and you should always have, and this sometimes becomes a liability living in the West, you should always have food for one extra person. Yeah. You should not cook in toy pots. We are two, and we have 2 pots, and then each one is the size of 2 millimeters each. Yeah, you should never do that. You should always have enough for a full meal of someone who in case drops by. And the elders in India follow this to this day. To this day they will keep the food till 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, well past lunchtime, and then they'll give it away. To this day they follow this, because in case someone drops by. How did this all start? Because before you had to grab an atithi and feed them in order for this ritual to be over. After that, people became a little more informal, a little lax about it, and they hoped and prayed someone would drop in. Or even if the nameless person didn't drop in, they had food cooked for this anonymous person, had the food cooked and ready for them. So what would you do before? And I saw this, the grandmothers used to do this. I remember very clearly in the village, they would go to the front of the compound, look to the left, look to the right, and say, is anyone there who is needing to be fed? And doesn't matter whether that person, looks like something the dog dragged in. Never mind, you don't look at that person. You just bring them in ceremonially. They are the king for that afternoon. You wash their feet, and with utter humility place food, serve them with love, and fan them as they eat, and give them some dakshina, some cloth or present or something, and then send them off ceremonially. Then only you sit down to eat. And sometimes people would not eat if they did not find this atithi. This is how seriously it was taken. So the atithi is a metaphor. The one who drops in is a metaphor for prasad in life. Bhagavan's, prasad means whatever comes in the form of one's own karma. And honoring the atithi means getting to the place of emotional integrity and maturity to honor and accept what comes in, what is dropped in my lap. That is the maturity. This is what atithi means. And if the atithi is not honored, what happens? We will see that in the Kathopanishad. Yasya agnihotram avarnam, agnihotram apaurnamasam, all this achaturmasyam, atithi varjitam, yasya yajnam. So if the yajna is not complete without the atithi being welcomed. And then what does the Kathopanishad gives dire consequences. Asaptaman tasya lokaha hinasti. Hinasti means lost. Asaptaman means for 7 generations they will not be able to set foot in heaven. So, it's bad enough if one person cannot go, but your child, your child's child, your child's 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 child, and go on 7 times, and 7 times removed, they cannot even go near heaven. So in fact, all the punya that you have done, and all the punya the 7 generations above and below have done, and also if you have ancestors in heaven, they are booted out. Sorry, atithi was ignored. Out you go. So this is all very dangerous. This is the beauty of the Hindu culture. It's not at all about you. Yeah, and here it's such a contrast. Everything is, me, sad me, bad me, mad me. It's all about you. But here it's not, it's all about you as Sat Chit Ananda, but it is not at all about you as the Jiva. You are seen as an integral part of the entire culture, and your actions matter, your thoughts matter, your behavior matters. And if you do something here, it's not just, oh, let me just clean it up quickly. No, it has affected 7 generations above, 7 generations below. And the same thing they say about sannyasa also, that a person who takes sannyasa redeems 7 generations above and below. Below means coming after. And so this is what the whole thing is. And so here Mundakopanishad takes a very serious view of this. 1, 2, 3, I think the mantra is. Yeah. So we are coming close to that. And so then look at that. It's a very nice mantra. So there he asaptamans tasya lokaha hinasti. All the lokas are lost. All the lokas are barred for this person who does not do yajna properly, and the proper completion, the culmination of the yajna without atithi, which is also a form of yajna, is a integral part of the culture. And so even though, and yatha yad yatha iha tat tatha amutra means what the laws that apply here should apply elsewhere too. So it's just because I am Mrs. Yummy, I am not exempt from these laws. Mrs. Yummy is also a jiva. Mrs. Yummy is also a punya hog, just like the people here. Mrs. Yummy also wants to the punya to become more and the papa to become less, which is what people here want. And she is in fact more educated because she helps him with the accounts. And she knows the consequences of not having punya. So she is even more vigilant. If she seems a little freaked out in the verse that is going to come, it's because she knows the consequences of not doing this. She had, this is what their bedtime conversation is. I had to send this person there because they didn't do Atithi Yajna. So she knows. She knows as much as he knows because she helps with the accounts. She talks to, it's all shop talk. And then, she knows. And that's why she's even more afraid than perhaps a person, who is blissfully ignorant of the consequences of their action on earth are. Because her husband is in charge of connecting the consequences to the next life. Yeah. The consequences of their karma to the fruits of the karma. He is the connector. He is the connecting bridge. So she knows much more than anybody, perhaps on the mortal plane. And so she's very, very upset. And you can see that she doesn't even greet her husband. No, hello, honey. Are you home, honey? And I have missed you, my love. And it was really hard these 3 days. And and by the way, look at that eyesore. No, that is not where she goes. She doesn't even say hello. She hears him come. I told you he came from the side door, having parked the bull in the garage. So he didn't see the boy. He came from the back door or the side door, and then as soon as he entered, what was she doing? She was pacing near the front window, peeking out of the blinds. And and then what? And then he didn't even have a chance to say, what's the matter? What's going on here? She barked out an order. I told you they were very friendly on first name terms. Vaivasvata, hara udakam, she said. This is what she said. I'm not making it up. These are her words. You'll see that. And then she explained why. First she said, go fetch the water right now. She didn't say hello. She didn't even stop to exchange some pleasantries that one would do after seeing somebody in your family come back after 3 days. It's normal to say, how was the trip? How many casualties? Some pleasantries, nothing. Nothing was talked about. She just barks out an order. Hara, imperative mood. Bring ahara. Hara means take, but actually she's so used to him taking everything, she forgets grammatical slip, which is not really a slip. She means to say lao, bring, so ahara she means to say, and Adi Shankara is going to softly correct her, Mrs. Yami, your show is slipping, he's going to say, and he's going to correct her gently, but she means to say, hara, bring back. But instead she's so agitated, she says hara, because he's all about hara hara, he steals away lives, and so by mistake she says hara, but it should be read as ahara, kim udakam, bring water immediately. What is the water for? To wash his feet, to wash his hands, to wash his little face, and then to offer him what is called argyam, water to drink. And then asanam. Asanam means what? Seat, a nice place to sit other than the bench that he was sitting on. And and then so all these things require water, and water is a great purifier. It purifies your karma. That's why in all traditions, even in the Catholic tradition, every place there is water serves as a very important thing. That's why we put all the water in the pots and chant the mantras, and the mantrified water is poured on the devatas and on our heads, etc. So this is an act of purification. So the water is very important. And what is the water purifying here? Her own karma of omission. This is a karma. Interestingly, atithi upeksha. Upeksha means neglect. Atithi upeksha incurs both karma of omission and karma of commission. There are two kinds of bad karmas. So omission karma is called pratyavaya dosha. Pratyavaya. Pratyavaya means a fallacy of omission of what needs to be done. So if you don't do nitya karma, you get papa. You incur a papa called pratyavaya. Akarane, when you don't do. Akarane means, na kritva. If you don't do, having not done it, what do you attract? Pratyavaya papa. Pratyavaya dosha. But then if you do you get punya? No. Nitya karma, if you do, no punya. Like if you brush your teeth, you don't get a reward, every day, because you're supposed to do that. But if you don't brush the teeth, there are consequences. Your friend list is going to get smaller and smaller. Nobody can be around you, correct? There are drishta phalam and adrishta also perhaps, and then adrishta in the sense of needing to go to the dentist later. So this is what it is. So akarane pratyavaya applies to nitya karma, meaning when nitya karma is flouted, what happens? You incur a fallacy of omission, a papa based on the omission. But then the atithi yajna is so important that it also incurs a papa of commission. Not doing is one thing, but then not doing means what? What have you done instead? You have neglected. You see, you can look at it differently. You have done upeksha. So the upeksha is an act, correct? It's also a non-act. It's an act by default, but it's still an act. So you have done upeksha, and then therefore that incurs further papa. So that's why she says, just go, don't talk to me. He's saying, what happened? Why water? What's happening? She just says, don't talk, just go fetch the water. She says, because we have to make some big time reparations. This is again in keeping with the theme of reparations. Some prayaschitta is involved. So what does she say? Vaishvanarah pravishati atitir brahmano grihan tasyaitam shantim kurvanti haravaivasvata udakam. Yeah. So she says that it's very nice what she says, because it again shows the strength of the women in the Vedas, and it also shows how she is advising him on what is to be done. Shows them as the carriers of dharma, and unlike what Arjuna says in the first chapter. So very nice to see this. So what does she say? Vaishvanaraha. It's a little involved, so I'll have to explain it carefully. It's a little involved because each thing one doesn't know and has to be explained. So let us just look at it bit by bit, okay? So atithihi pravishati, Atithihi pravishati brahmanaha grihan. Okay, that is one little piece of the sentence. Hara vaivasvata udakam. Another piece of the sentence, the mantra. And then Vaishvanaraha tasya etam shantim kurvanti. The third piece of the mantra. So we have made it into three pieces. First, let us take that which is very easy. Hara vaivasvata udakam. I have already explained that. What is that? Bring water. Ahara. Bring the water, O death. O death. I am the one here going deathly pale because of the situation. Go get the water right now. Okay? That hara, that imperative mood has hidden in that lot, which is the imperative mood, is right now, not tomorrow, right now, adya, now. And then, so that is one part of the mantra. Then the second part, let us see. Atithihi brahmanaha grihan pravishati. Atithihi pravishati. Straightforward. Who enters? Pravishati. Which to enter? Pravishati enters in a special way, meaning by not calling in advance. And pravishati. Who pravishati? Atithihi pravishati. And then who is this Atithi? Brahmana. Brahmana means the one who is a good person, who is given to Brahmani Charati, especially a scholar of the Vedas or a student of the Vedas, which Nachiketa was. And there are certain signs, because they wear white and they have a little tuft here. So seeing that, she could assume that he was a student of the Veda, and therefore, her hypertension was of a greater nature, because he is a special Atithi, because he is entitled to Bhiksha. That is why. So a special Atithi, and who lives off of Bhiksha, and here we are neglecting him 3 nights. He is not drunk or a sip or eaten a morsel, and she lost all sleep and lost hair as well. So then, so Atithihi, Brahmanaha Atithihi Pravishati. Pravishati means what? Enters. What does he enter? Grihan, the homes, And this Atithihi, is also qualified by one more word, Vaishvanaraha. Vaishvanaraha is actually, the stomach fire. And in this country, I find it very funny that somebody comes to the house, you offer them something to eat, which is time appropriate. Like if they come at 4 o'clock, they are given tea and snacks. If they come at 1 o'clock, they are offered lunch. And they will say, no, I ate and came. Indian Atithi will even if they ate and came, it is seen as an insult to tell the people, I ate and came. So like if you offer the food, at least if somebody offers, it is a part of the cultural, what is that called? Unwritten custom to take one little piece, you take and put it in your mouth and you say enough, and they will convince you, no, this doesn't have any calories. But then you say, yes, thank you, it's very delicious. But at least one you have to take. Because otherwise what happens is that you are causing a disturbance in the form of a potential pratyavaya to incur to them. So out of compassion, even if you are full, you eat, That's what, not for yourself, for them. And that's why, so when this happens in Atlanta or some other places, DC, there are so many home visits. I go from one house to another. Before the lecture, 4 or 5 houses, and each place they have made so many things, and they'll be very disappointed. So I have to taste in each house something, drink some water or tea or whatever they give, coffee, and little bit you eat and then you proceed, because otherwise, it's not nice. So like this is what the whole thing is. So here, Vaishvanaraha means what comes as the Atithi is the blazing fire of hunger. Yeah. That's why you should never worry about feeding someone, because that hunger is your own, what's its name? It's your own opportunity to get punya, feeding, assuaging someone's hunger. In fact, it is seen as punya if someone comes and says, I'm hungry. And the Indian people feel delighted that somebody says, I'm hungry. The Indian, if you really want to make a Hindu person happy, go to their house and say, I'm so hungry. Oh, wait, sit down, sit down, sit down. And they will just scurry off to the kitchen and come back in very short time, armed with a tray of all kinds of wonderful things. So, what comes in the house is the blazing fire of hunger. Now extrapolate. If you take out hunger, what is left? In the sentence, blazing fire of hunger, you take out hunger. Atithi is Agnihi, the blazing fire. Think of the Atithi as Agni, the fire, the blazing fire. Doesn't matter that it's in the form of a hunger. But if it's assuaged, it's in the form of hunger. It was in the form of hunger. It's inside, it's contained as hunger. But if the hunger is not contained, like the California forest fire feeds on your punya. So beautiful. So what should it feed on? Samosas. Yeah. Laddus, jalebis, all kinds of fried things. And but what is it feeding on? The punya that you have hung up and kept as a ticket to heaven, as a ticket to a better next life. It weans, it feeds off of your punya, and wanes. The punya wanes. Your punya account starts waning because this insatiable fire, because you refuse to satisfy it, this insatiable fire becomes a conflagration that threatens to devour all the good that you have done, that threatens to take away your peace of mind, that blazes through your house, home, belongings, both material and spiritual belonging. What is a spiritual belonging? Punya. Eats through all of them, and you are left with some charred remains. This is what she says, very poetic and very beautiful. So Vaishvanaraha has two meanings. First means the blazing fire of hunger. In fact, the Atithi who walks in, why should someone come to your house? They want something, right? Yeah. Oh, I just came. Why did you just come? You could have just stayed at home. Who asked you to come? No, I thought I'll have some company. So they want something? No, I thought I just came to borrow a book. I just came to borrow some sugar. They want something. It's not always like I want a 5-course dinner. That's not what they're coming for. Oh, I was lonely, so I thought I'll just walk across and see you. Or I was in the neighborhood and I thought of you. There is always some reason. So that reason for which they are at the door has to be attended to by the person who lives in the house, by the host, hostess. And that reason is here described as Vaishvanara, because the Atithi is usually fed. So the blazing fire of hunger, but then it can be extrapolated enough to say the blazing fire of expectations. Yeah. Whatever expectations and expectancy they came with. The blazing fire of expectations comes in the form of what? The Atithi. And with their expectations, they bring the unexpected. If those expectations are not met, kim bhavet? The unexpected bhavet. Then truly you have the Atithi experience. You didn't ask for it. It just kept happening and happening and happening. You just didn't even ask for it. So this month has been Atithi month, I told you. And so this is what it is. So it kept happening. And therefore what? Therefore, you are on your toes meeting these happenings. Not just meeting. greeting cheerfully these happenings, putting a veil on your own expectations, because this is where the growth happens. In the moment you're attending to someone, you have suspended your own expectations. Why should I bother? Last time when I went to their house, they just didn't even give me water. You shouldn't think like that. You should, see, that's why the whole habit of, we think it is the habit of forcing food on others. It's not forcing food. The Atithi should say, Mummy, Mummy, help, no more, no more. Until then you have to feed the person. Yeah. So you err on the side of, no, please have some more. No, you must eat this. To the foreigner it sounds strange. What are they? Do they have some boundary problems or not? No. They are just making sure that you are not hungry. Even if you don't know sometimes you may not know that you are hungry. But or not. You may not know when you are full. You may not know when you are hungry. You may be preoccupied. But the Atithi, the one who is tending to the Atithi, in offering again and again, that sounds good, all right, then that is what it is. So then until they say, I cannot even look at this food, I cannot even think of this food, they have to be fed. This comes from that culture. This is the practice that is still there, And so the expectations have to be fulfilled, and when the expectations of the Atithi, food-wise, hospitality-wise, and anything else they may want, the reason why they came wise, until that is fulfilled, your own expectations take a back seat. What are your expectations? Called in Sanskrit Raga, Dvesha. And anything that puts the Raga, Dvesha in the back chair is a good thing for self-growth. Yes. That's where it is just sitting and, counting, marking time. When will they go? When will they go? When can I come out and play? The Raga and Dveshas are impatient. But still, this is the way to deal with them. So, Atithi, Vaishvanaraha. So, two meanings. One is whatever the individual Atithi brings as expectations. And also the law of Ishvara in the form of your own karma phala. That the Atithi stands for. Second meaning, actually three meanings. The third meaning is the expectations outgrow the Atithi and consume your punya. So the blazing fire, Atithi becomes the blazing fire. Not just the blazing fire of hunger, but the blazing fire of expectations. Collective expectations. So those are the three meanings, Vaishvanaraha. So because Atithi is Vaishvanaraha, Tasmat, Vyasmat means because of which, Tasmat. Therefore, Tesham Shantim Kurvanti. Shantim Kurvanti means they need to be propitiated. Yeah. Propitiated. And then Shanti means Upashamanam, Adi Shankara is going to say. The expectations are met. The meeting of the expectations is the extinguishing of this blazing fire of expectancy. Yeah. You just attend to the Raga Dveshas of a perfect stranger. What does that have to do with my growth? A lot, as it turns out. And then, if Yama and Yami lived in the modern times, she would not say to Yama, Hara Vaivasvata Udakam. She would say, Hara Vaivasvata Fire Extinguisheram. Yeah, because what extinguishes the fire? Water. So that's why she says, bring the water. This is very poetic, very beautiful. She calls him Vaishvanara. Tesham Shantim Kurvanti. You have to bring the fire down. What? There's nothing that brings the fire down other than water. And had she been a modern lady, she would have said, Hara Vaivasvata Fire Extinguisheram. Yeah. That's what it is. So this water, even though it is to wash the feet and everything, it's to cool down the person. All these propitiatory rituals, they are not just useless. It's to cool down the person. Perhaps they've come from, it's a tropical, climate. They've come from the hot sun and they're ornery and upset and annoyed. Cools you down. Perhaps they are preoccupied, cools you down. Perhaps they're so hungry they can't wait till lunchtime. Still, that all cools you down. So they give some fruit juice, lemonade usually. Lemonade. and with some sugar, jaggery, whatever. So sweetening and cooling this Agni. So the Atithi becomes a Devata. Atithi Devo Bhava, another Upanishad. Not just Mundaka, even in Taittiriya. Be the one unto whom the guest is an incarnation of Bhagavan. So this Atithi, Tesham Shantim Kurvanti. Who Kurvanti? All the people who know, Shantim Kurvanti. And so Shanti means the propitiatory rituals of offering the seat, offering the water, washing the face, feet, hands, etc. is all part of this extinguishing the fire of expectations. You start with that, and so this water is an inherent part of this Atithi Yajna. So go and bring the water. O death, bring the water. So this is what she says. We saw the in-between bhashya, right? Yeah. Proshya agatam ya bodhayantaha. So she advises him. Tasya etam, tasya shantim. Tesham no tasya shantim kurvanti hara vaivasvata udakam. We have seen all the whole mantra, bhashya. Vaishvanaraha Agnirev Sakshat Pravishati Atithihi San Brahmanaha Grihan Dahan Iva Tasya Daham Shamayantah Iva Agnihi Etam Padya Asanadi Lakshanam Shantim Kurvanti Santah Atithehe Yataha Ataha Hara Ahara He Vaivasvata Udakam Nachiketa se Padyartham Yatascha Akarane Pratyavaya Shruyate. Yeah. So she is highly educated in dharma, in the know-how of what needs to be done, and in the shastra of punya papa. Naturally, being married to Yama, she would know that she would have a PhD in papa punya and rebirth. And so she's words of wisdom very poetically said. She says Vaishvanara, and Bhashya says Vaishvanaraha, the stomach fire, Agnihi eva sakshat pravishati. So not that the hunger comes through the door in the form of the Atithi who happens to have a stomach. It is the fire Bhagavan. Fire Devata himself is walking in the door in the form of this Atithi. And then why fire Devata? The sun, Pravishati Atithi sun, Brahmanaha, like in the form of the Brahmana, the fire Devata is walking in. How do we know? Dahan iva, as though threatening to consume if that fire is not propitiated. Dahan, from the present Shatru of Dahat. And Dahan, means burning as it were. Vociferously, consuming, voraciously, loudly consuming, along with all the sparks and the noises, noisily consuming everything, pravishati, sun, brahmanaha, grihan pravishati. How does it enter the houses? Not like a, wonderful music coming in through the open door, wafting in, or a fragrance from the neighborhood garden coming in. We are enjoying the smell of the roses which the neighbor planted coming in through the door. Nothing so subtle. Yeah. This is like a blowtorch coming in, walking in. And you have to handle, if a blowtorch with a, head, hands and legs walks in, you have to treat it with utmost respect. correct? Yeah, you have to contain it. So therefore you give a place to sit. Don't run all over the house, please. Sit right here. You have to Atithi comes with handle with care warning. Yeah. So you have to sit right here. You have to sit right here, and here we are going to honor you. So you disarm that fire by putting ghee into it. Here instead of ghee, there are some water-based rituals, very appropriate. And so, and then what is there? Grihan dahan iva. Dahan iva means as though making the sankalpa to burn. In the wake of the entry, the burning takes place. Of what? Your own punya. She's going to say later. Tasya daham. And that burning sensation, that fire of expectations on part of the Brahmana, the Atithi, Shamayanti, iva means these Shamayantaha or Shamayanti? Shamayante. Okay, yeah. Atmanaha. Okay. So Shamayante iva. So Shamayante iva means as though propitiating or as though putting out that fire. Iva agnihi etam padyasanadi lakshanam shantim kurvanti. So as though to put out this fire, this blazing blowtorch in the form of the Atithi, filled with expectations that has walked into the door. In fact, you transcend the person to address their expectations, and the expectations is nothing but fire, Bhagavan, Devata coming into the door. So as though to propitiate the fire, Shanti is not just propitiate, as though to put out that fire, to take out the bite from the fire, the danger out of the fire, because fire can be very useful also. So to take out the danger of the fire spreading onto your prized possessions, including the punya, what do? You have these propitiatory rituals. And what are they? Padyasanadi lakshana. Padyasanadi lakshana means padyam, asanam, arghyam, naivedyam, etc. And so padya means water to wash the feet, water to wash the face, water to wash the mouth, hands, and then water to sip. Arghya, all these kinds of propitiatory rituals are recommended not for the person. You have transcended the person. You are addressing their expectations as their expectations ironically have unexpectedly dropped into your life, and you are honoring that unexpected expectations. The dropping of that you are honoring as an invariable message from Bhagavan. So that's why you treat the guest as though you are receiving Bhagavan, because it has come directly from Bhagavan. So Shantim kurvanti santaha atithehe yataha. So meaning the santaha means the sadhus. Who, because she doesn't say who kurvanti, so he has to supply that. Sadhavaha santaha. Santaha means saintly people. Yeah. Sadhavaha kurvanti shantim. Those who know what is what, and the saintly people in the society, this is what they do. And even though you have a bad reputation, you are very saintly at heart. Hara vaivasvata udakam. So, and then she says hara, he corrects it as ahara, and vaivasvata, oh death, udakam hara. And why to bring the udakam? Nachiketa say, for the sake of Nachiketa, padyartham, for the pada, that the ritual of padya, etc. to do, please bring. Yataha, why? Yataha cha, why? Because akarane, if you don't do this, you will incur a papa by the name of pratyavayaha iti shruyate. Kutra shruyate? Vedaihi shruyate. In the Vedas it is heard. Through the Vedas it is heard. Yeah. Vede shruyate, vedaihi shruyate. So, in the Vedas it is heard, through the Vedas it is heard, by the Vedas we have heard. What is heard? That if you don't do this, you will have pratyavaya. And Vivaswan could have said, death could have said, so what? You know, that day you also didn't brush your teeth. We got Pratyavaya or no, we lived with it. So we live with this one also. So what? So she's not done talking. She says, it's not just so what. Do you know, it's not just the papa of omission, but also commission. Let me tell you, let me list you all the things that happen if you don't bring the water in a hurry. That's what she says. And we'll chant this and see the meaning of it tomorrow. Asha pratikshe
Asha pratikshe
Sagatam sundrutancha
Sagatam sundrutancha
Ishtapurte putra pashumscha sarvan
Ishtapurte putra pashumscha sarvan
Etad bringte purushasya alpamedhasah
Etad bringte purushasya alpamedhasah
Yasyanashnan vasati brahmano grihe Yasyanashnan vasati brahmano grihe
Yasyanashnan vasati brahmano grihe
Yasyanashnanno Yasyananashnan vasati brahmano grihe Yasyananashnan vasati brahmano grihe Yasyananashnan
vasati brahmano grihe.
She says, get ready to pack up and send off. Since that is your job, you keep packing up and sending off. Ooh, goody. Yama says, what should I pack up and send off? All your hopes, desires, expectations. If you don't greet the unexpected and meet the unexpected, what happens is your own expectations become an endangered species. Everything is lost. Whatever you have stood for, whatever you have worked for, all the good truths that you have told, gone. And so what goes, how it goes, all this we'll see tomorrow. Anything goes. Yeah. Anything you have worked hard for goes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Harinder will come to 4 o'clock class.